Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 172. Without any delay, start explanation. First, I'll introduce two contestants to everyone in detail. Sumu, a student of Monster Academy's Inner Court, one of the great 8 heavenly kings of Monster Academy. His nickname is Fox King, his martial soul is the Nine-Tailed Fox. He possesses the talents and bloodline of the Nine-Tailed Fox. He's a rank 54 control system battle soul master. He's regarded as the best control system master in Monster Academy. Amongst his peers, he's also one of the most outstanding control system masters on Star Luo continent. Tang Wulin, hailing from Doluo continent's diplomatic corps. He comes from Shrek Academy, and his soul power is roughly between rank 41 and rank 43. Martial soul, dragon type. His specialty is his strength. He's an assault system battle soul master. Other information unclear. Undoubtedly, the information regarding Sumu was more detailed, whereas information regarding Tang Wulin was very scarce. She only knew that Tang Wulin came from Doluo continent. As for the data regarding him, it was completely derived from analyses. Based on the information of these two contestants, we can determine that contestant Sumu should have been able to completely suppress his opponent in terms of strength. However, there is one point which everyone here might have overlooked that I've actually singled out. Contestant Sumu, aged 19 years and 8 months. Contestant Tang Wulin, aged 15 years. As for months, unclear. When she said this, the Star Luo Empire citizens who were watching the screen broke into a clangor again. A 19-year-old against a 15-year-old. The huge gap between their ages was enough to prove many things. Those who were very familiar with Soul Masters knew what this meant especially clearly. Fanga's next words were even more earth-shattering and heaven-battering. Therefore, I conclude that whether or not contestant Sumu had lost this match because of his carelessness, he had lost. In terms of natural talent and strength, he was inferior to this contestant who came from the faraway Doluo continent. Fanga needed a great deal of courage to have said those words. That was because she might be condemned by the public. Those who stood by their friends instead of the objective truth were not in short supply no matter where one went. Nevertheless, she had said them just like that, and she had done so staunchly. Then, let us simply analyze the competition today. Without a doubt, contestant Sumu had convincingly gained the upper hand at the very beginning. The video started to replay. Fanga started to explain Sumu's every soul skill in detail. She also detailed the effects and functions of the releasing of the soul skills and why Tang Wulin reacted the way he did. The recording continued replaying until it paused at the instant where Tang Wulin was about to unleash his golden dragon claw. This is the turning point of the competition. A crucial turning point. It could even be said that Sumu lost because of the attack Tang Wulin used next. That's why although Sumu had lost the competition, he didn't lose to Tang Wulin. Instead, he lost to himself. He was too confident in his own control. He was also too confident in his reversal halo. He never expected that his opponent with an inferior cultivation base could unleash an attack capable of breaking through the reversal halo. The scene began playing in a slow motion. The glow from the golden dragon claw slowly appeared on the screen. The playback paused once again when the golden dragon claw broke through the reversal halo and struck Sumu's 5 foxtails. The audience could clearly see that a large patch of fox hair was slashed off. Those blades of dark golden light had at least cut into the tail for by then half its girth. It flashed past. The frame then switched to Sumu's face. In that instant, Sumu's entire expression was contorted. He was obviously in immense pain. Yes, after this attack, it seemed like contestant Sumu had completely unleashed his full powers. However, in reality, he had already been gravely injured. His martial soul is the Nine-Tailed Fox. His bloodline is the Nine-Tailed Fox. The foxtails were the source of his energy. If his power source was badly damaged, the wounds that he suffered would have been imaginable. So, after Tang Wulin forcefully broke through his all-out attack, he yielded. I think that he most probably didn't have the energy to release his battle armor rather than he chose not to. The injuries to his tails must have been very serious. He needs to heal them quickly. In conclusion, Sumu's defeat wasn't unfair. In a certain sense, he lost to himself. As for whether he could have won if he had released his battle armor beforehand or if he had been more cautious when battling Tang Wulin, I won't be analyzing events that are thus far purely theoretical. However, there's one thing that I can be sure of, and that is contestant Tang Wulin must also possess other abilities which he hasn't displayed yet. What is his martial soul? It's still a mystery. Why are his 2 soul rings golden? That's also a mystery. I hope that the upcoming battles can shed some light on these matters. At the same time, I've also decided that starting from this match, I will be conducting post-competition analyses on all the upcoming matches involving this contestant who came from Shrek Academy. Lastly, I don't think that it's a bad thing for us that the students of Shrek Academy have participated in this year's competition. Even if our best contestants face some difficulty, it will be beneficial rather than a hindrance. Failure can be scary, but we must learn the lessons that we can from this experience. Only failures like these can lead to future victories. Otherwise. When she neared the end of her speech, Fanga made a helpless expression. The broadcast ended there. Of course, there were shouts of rage, but there were more citizens who had calmed down. Fanga's analysis had sounded like she was heavily biased toward Tang Wulin, but as she stated from the beginning until the end, the purpose of her speech was to encourage Monster Academy. She was advising every Star Luo Empire contestant that was participating in the Continental Young High-Ranking Soul Masters Elite competition. Powerful opponents have turned up. If all of you still do not take your opponents seriously enough, then the next defeat might very well be your own. Of course, her analyses had given Sumu a great personal blow. After all, Sumu's beautiful speech when he finally yielded had, in a certain sense, been exposed for what it was. This commentary was seen by the Shrek Academy team who had returned to the hotel. There was no way they did not see it. A soul screen was hung in the hotel lobby itself. That's a thorough analysis. It went right to the heart of the matter. Xie could not help but give his praise. Tang Wulin nodded slightly. This commentary isn't as simple as it seems. It looks like we'll have to be more careful in our upcoming matches. We must hide what we can. Otherwise, if more of our secrets are discovered by our opponents, it'll be tougher for us in the matches to come. Now that she's said all that, it'll be harder for us to gain the upper hand. His win today did not come easy. Forcefully withstanding Sumu's powerful control was quite a heavy burden on his body, but the final result was satisfying. He only managed to win with a bit of luck. If Sumu had focused all his attention on this match the minute he got on stage, it would have been quite difficult for Tang Wulin to emerge victoriously. In any case, he had overcome this obstacle. The few rounds of solo competition were knockout rounds. It was impossible for him to see Sumu again in the 1-against-1 competition. As for the other members of Monster Academy, the one whom Tang Wulin dreaded the most was still Long Yu. Exactly how strong was that madman Long? Until now, it was still a mystery. The pressures of the public opinion, the Star Luo Empire's home field and from Monster Academy had made everyone return to their respective rooms and continue their cultivation after the match had ended. Yi Xinglan was an exception because she had to continue crafting battle armor. Her companion's battle armor was still waiting to be completed by her. At the same time, she was continuously accumulating experience within her own crafting as she continued her search for the knack of making a one-word battle armor's core component in the future. Yi Xinglan was usually the quietest among the team. At the same time, she was also the one with the most tenacious personality. Although she did not make a show of it, the resources of the entire team were focused on her. She was working harder than anyone else. If there was anyone among the Shrek team who had the highest possibility of becoming a one-word battle armor master first, it would undoubtedly be her. Not only did the unexpected emergence of a dark horse not reduce the influence of this year's competition, it had in fact intensified it. The officials of the Star Luo Empire had not given any other statements other than those required to maintain peace and order. They allowed things to take their respective courses and hoped that everything ended well. The silence room. Sumu sat cross-legged on the bed. Before him, 5 big tails were swaying gently. Currently, their hairs were unfolded and they looked supple. On each big tail, there were several wounds so deep that the bones beneath were visible. The tail which suffered the most serious injury was more than 2/3 broken. It seemed as if it would break apart at any moment. The gentle halo had a faint red glow which pulsed rhythmically on top of the tail. It spurred the healing, but the pain was unbearable. Someone sat opposite Sumu, and his fists were balled tightly. It was Dai Yuyang, the 4th prince of Star Luo Empire. He was also the Tiger King of Monster Academy's 8 Heavenly Kings. The prince was truly irate and his breathing was erratic. He only knew about the severity of Sumu's injuries upon seeing Sumu. No wonder he did not utilize his battle armor. If he had used his battle armor, maybe his tail would have broken off. That would have been a drastic blow. However, not only did losing the battle gave Sumu a great blow, it also put the entire Monster Academy under immense pressure. Fanga's post-competition analysis had piled on the pressure, but Monster Academy did not respond. The others might not know Fanga's background, but how could Dai Yuyang not know? Fanga was spewing nonsense about not representing the official party when she was clearly a party member. In fact, she was voicing her father's opinion. It was obviously the father's intention to reveal the competition situation to spur Monster Academy. In Star Luo Empire, although Monster Academy was held in high regard, it was a far cry from Shrek Academy on Doluo continent. Monster Academy relied on the official party for its expenses. As for the competition's outcome, there was no doubt that Dai Qianling was not pleased. Tang Wulin. Dai Yuyang squinted his eyes which beamed a narrowly focused light. The second round of the one-on-one competition took 2 days to complete. Half of the contestants were disqualified, which reduced the number of participants. However, there were still a few knockout rounds that had to be completed until the total number of participants was down to 128 participants. It was only then that they would be divided into 8 groups to take part in the group matches. The group matches were done in a round-robin fashion. The top 8 with the highest cumulative points would then proceed to the knockout rounds in the final stages. Hence, the whole competition process was long and tedious. For one to become the champion, one would have to go through almost 20 battles. The previous Continental Yun high-ranking Seoul Masters Elite competition had run continuously for 2 months. The 2-on-2 competitions and team competitions were similar, but there were fewer teams that participated. Naturally, the competitions proceeded faster. Tang Wulin's luck was back to normal. Since the 3rd round, he had not faced any challenging opponent. During the next 10 days, he won battle after battle, passing the preliminary stages to finally reach the round-robin tournament. His 4 comrades who took part in the solo competitions were similarly successful. In the 2-on-2 competitions, the 4 pairs from Shrek Academy also had outstanding performances. All of them entered the round-robin tournament. The solo competition was on a 2-day hiatus, whereas the team and 2-on-2's round-robin tournaments had begun. This morning, everyone will be participating in the first round of the round-robin for the 2-on-2. In the afternoon, we'll have the first round of the team competition. Everyone must try to maintain their stamina. In the round-robin tournaments, we don't have any weak contenders. Take care not to injure yourselves. Compared to 10 days ago, Tang Wulin appeared more balanced. This was their first time participating in such a grandiose competition. After 12 days, they gradually adapted to the competition's ambience. Tang Wulin was under intense pressure because he had to face the jeering crowd in every match he took part in. He became the center for the scorn of the crowd before, during, and even after the match. Fanga's post-competition commentary was exclusively done for his matches. Her commentaries were always penetrating, and she gave an accurate analysis every time. Till now, Tang Wulin had not utilized his Blue-Silver Emperor. He had always relied on the power of the Golden Dragon King bloodline, which involved using his immense strength to fight his battles. For the 2-on-2 competitions, there were 8 teams in each group. It was neither lucky nor unlucky for Tang Wulin and his teammates. The lucky part was that Gu, Xie, Yuan and Yehui, and himself were all in the same team, whereas the unlucky part was that there was also a team from Monster Academy in this group. In the 2-on-2 round-robin tournament, only 2 teams from each group could enter into the top 16 of the final match. In other words, one of their 3 participating teams would not qualify. Tang Wulin had kept an eye on the 2 Monster Academy students when he first saw them. The 2 had valiant strengths. The boy was Hua Lantang while the girl was Yi Shi. Both of them had cultivation bases of 5 rings and above. Although they had never used any battle armors in their previous battles, Tang Wulin was certain that these 2 were battle armor masters. The combination of 2 one-word battle armor masters was certainly a formidable challenge. The possibility of defeating them both was close to impossible. Among the other groups, Tang Wulin also noticed the contestants from Monster Academy. They had 2 other teams, which was 1 team fewer than Shrek Academy. One of those teams was the combination of Su Mu and Dai Yuyang. Su Mu specialized in control whereas Dai Yuyang specialized in assault. The 2 of them cooperated well and their strengths were indomitable. The other team had Long Yu as their leader. However, Tang Wulin was surprised that this team comprised of Long Yu and Dai Yuna, who had the weakest cultivation base among the 8 heavenly kings of Monster Academy. Long Yu partnered Dai Yuna so as to boost her popularity and widen her battle experience. With Long Yu by her side, winning their first few matches turned out to be a piece of cake. They hardly met any threat. The group in which Dai Yuyang and Su Mu were in did not have any team from Shrek Academy, whereas in Long Yu and Dai Yuna's group, there was the pair of Xu Xiaoyan and Yu Jingyu. Yi Xinglan and Xu Lixi were in another group. This scenario was advantageous to Shrek Academy. If all their 4 teams were in the final 16, the strongest pair would be Tang Wulin's team. Since it was a round-robin tournament, every team within each group must fight with all the other teams. Today was the first round of the round-robin tournament. However, this time Tang Wulin would not be battling alone. This was the most interesting match in this round of 2-on-2. It was regarded as the fight for the group's championship. We must win. Tang Wulin made a resolute decision. They hoped to qualify in this round with Yuan and Yehui and Xie Xie. Hence, they had to first defeat Hua Lantang and Yi Shi. In the round-robin tournament, if the number of wins and losses of 2 teams were the same, then the referee would look into the relationship of the outcomes. If the referee could not determine the victor from the relationship of the outcomes, then they would look at the time used throughout their matches. Hence, if Tang Wulin wanted to make sure that Yuan and Yehui and Xie Xie's team is in the final list, it would be best to defeat his pair of opponents in the shortest time possible. Only then would they have the best chance. Tang Wulin and Ji Yuyu stood shoulder to shoulder on the competition stage. For some unexplainable reason, whenever Ji Yuyu was beside him, Tang Wulin would feel at peace. Opposite them, Hua Lantang and Yi Shi were already on the stage. Hua Lantang was an ordinary-looking youth of medium stature. If not for Monster Academy's uniform, it would be difficult to recognize him among the crowd. Unlike him, Yi Shi was attractive. She would have looked every bit as gorgeous as Dai Yuna had she been younger. Now, she looked mature and was past her prime. When the 2 stood together, they did not seem to be compatible. However, they were holding hands. Obviously, they were not only comrades, but also a couple. For that reason, they gained Tang Wulin's attention. Hua Lantang must have some innate attraction for him to be fancied by Yi Shi. Tang Wulin had observed their previous battles. Between the 2, Yi Shi was a support system utility soul master while Hua Lantang was an assault system battle soul master. Yi Shi was also the only support system among the 8 heavenly kings. As for the other 2 heavenly kings of Monster Academy who did not participate in the 2-against-2 competition, they were both agility system soul masters. Why they did not take part, nobody knew. If Tang Wulin were to go ask Long Yu about this, Long Yu would tell him that only the prizes of the top 3 were worthy. For Monster Academy, it was enough for them to secure the final 3. On the other hand, the one-on-one competition was a display of individual strength. Naturally, everyone who could participate had done so. Hua Lantang squinted slightly as he looked at Tang Wulin. His personality was calm and collected. He had seen Tang Wulin's previous matches before this and had also discussed with Su Mu regarding the abilities of this young contestant. He had partnered with Yi Ji for many years now, and the two of them cooperated wonderfully with an unspoken connection. They were known as the Golden Combo in Monster Academy. Sumu, allow me to avenge you today. Yi Ji's attention was drawn to something else. Unlike Hua Lantang, her gaze fell on Gu. Compared to their understanding of Tang Wulin, and even what they knew of the other Shrek Academy students, this young girl who stood shoulder to shoulder with Tang Wulin was almost a blank sheet of paper to them. She had only entered the 2-against-2 competition, but in the previous matches, she was more of an extra. Tang Wulin seemed to have taken care of their opponents all by himself, leading them to victory. However, Yi Ji believed that Shrek Academy would not send anyone out recklessly, more so if that person was supposed to cooperate with Tang Wulin. From the information they had received before, Tang Wulin was the captain of this Shrek Academy fighting team. To be able to be paired with the captain, her strength must be extraordinary. On the rostrum, Fanga wore a long white dress as she sat at the sidelines. There were a few soul screens in front of her. She wore a soul loudspeaker on her head and stared at the screen with keen, sparkling eyes. Hello everyone, I'm Fanga. Her voice was broadcast throughout the Colosseum via the soul loudspeaker. I think everyone is eager to see the upcoming match. Today, I'll be providing live commentary throughout the battle. Monster Academy's Hua Lantang and Yi Ji against Shrek Academy's Tang Wulin and Gu. Regarding Hua Lantang and Yi Ji, I believe everyone knows their strengths well. They are both members of Monster Academy's 8 Heavenly Kings. Hua Lantang is known as the Wolf King. His martial soul is the most powerful of the wolf kind, the Dragonwolf. It's a formidable breed that possesses the traits of both dragon and wolf. According to legend, the giant dragon was promiscuous by nature, and it mated with a moon-howling wolf. Hence, the Dragonwolf species was born. This martial soul was passed down in a single bloodline. It's unique on the Star Luo continent. Back in the day, Hua Lantang's ancestor was one of the rulers of the Star Luo continent's aboriginal people. His inner strength is unimaginable. Yi Ji, among the 8 Heavenly Kings, is known as the Pagoda King. She possesses the legendary martial soul 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda. As early as 20,000 years ago, an ancient martial soul such as this was already known as the King of Utility Martial Souls. It can greatly enhance the bearer's comrades in battle. The two of them cooperated well in the last competition, and they managed to place second in the 2-against-2 category. Then what about their opponents? Regarding Tang Wulin, I think we've already discussed him a little too much these few days. On strength alone, he is still some leagues away from the Wolf King, but we still have no idea as to what his mysterious martial soul really is. Hence, I cannot tell how this match will go based on the information that I currently have. What intrigues me even more is Tang Wulin's partner. This young lady by the name of Gu has been accompanying Tang Wulin in the 2-against-2 competition. If we look at the previous matches, her martial soul must be elemental control, a fire type, considering she only used a fireball in one single match. As for her specialty, I'm very sorry, the information we have regarding her is incomplete. To sum it all up, I hope that in this match, the 2 Monster Academy contestants can learn from the experience of contestant Sumu before this and not underestimate their opponents and fight for the win with all their might. Fanga's commentary could no longer be heard within the closed competition stage barrier. Currently, Tang Wulin's eyes could only see his opponents. After the referee gave both pairs the signal, he announced for the countdown to begin. 3, 2, 1. Begin. With the announcement of the start of the match, Tang Wulin and Hua Lantang rushed forward almost at the same time. With a flash of golden light, 2 golden soul rings rose from beneath Tang Wulin's feet. Meanwhile, his domineering golden dragon body was released. As Hua Lantang dashed forth, his body was also changing. 5 soul rings, 4 purple and 1 black, ascended from below him. He possessed a 10,000-year soul ring. His body was rapidly transforming as he ran forward. From looking like a normal human, his physique bulked up instantly. His head took on a wolf's shape, with a protruding muzzle revealing his eerily white fangs. Strangely, he did not grow fur. Instead, clumps of purple scales emerged. These scales were all strange oval shapes and covered his entire body. Having already grown to more than 2 meters in height, the scales made him even more fearsome. A pair of sharp claws jutted out, and his speed increased tremendously all at once. He was not only an assault system soul master, but also an agility system master. His Dragonwolf martial soul, when its speed was unleashed, could certainly rival any agility system martial soul. From a distance, Yi Ji and Guu also advanced. Guu waved her right arm and a huge fireball with a diameter of more than a foot shot into the sky. It had turned into a parabola and shot straight toward the faraway Yi Ji. But Yi Ji's reaction took everyone by surprise. Her eyes lit up suddenly, and she flung both her hands outward. Beams of light shot out and expanded in midair. They then flew back into her body. Those were pieces of armor that flickered with 7-colored light. After covering her body, they swiftly connected with each other, armoring her from head to toe. At the same time, a layer of 7-colored light burst forth from her body and shielded her within itself. Battle armor. One word: battle armor. The competition had only just started, and Yi Ji had taken the unusual step of immediately utilizing her one-word battle armor. The fireball struck the barrier, gave off a strong glow, then quickly shattered and disappeared. On the other hand, the 7-colored barrier only rippled slightly. Yi Ji stretched out her right arm and her 5 purple soul rings rose from under her feet. An exquisite, 1-foot-tall, 7-layered pagoda appeared on her palm. The legends regarding the 7 treasures glazed pagoda were spread very widely on both the Star Luo continent and the Doluo continent. 20,000 years ago, among the first generation of Shrek Academy's Shrek 7 monsters, not including the most famous, sea god Tang San, and his wife, Fleshbone Doluo Xiaowu, the martial soul of the main support system soul master on their team was the 7 treasures glazed pagoda. The bearer eventually elevated the 7 treasures glazed pagoda into the 9 treasures glazed pagoda and finally became a god. That was a powerful martial soul that had once produced a god. Even on the Doluo continent, martial souls like these were already lost. Nobody had expected it to appear on the Star Luo continent. The 7 magical treasures, the first is called strength, the second is called speed. On that 7-layered pagoda, 2 beams of flowing light shot out from the 2 lowest layers and instantly landed on Hua Lantang. Everyone could only see that Hua Lantang's body had grown again, and he was accelerating rapidly. He left behind a series of afterimages as he ran and appeared in front of Tang Wulin almost instantly. A pair of wolf claws slashed outward as fast as lightning. The most concerning property of the 7 treasures glazed pagoda was the extent of its enhancement. Using the 7 treasures glazed pagoda with a single soul ring, its soul skill could enhance one attribute by as much as 20%. For example, Yi Ji's first soul ring was strength enhancement, so she could increase a person's strength by 20. When the 7 treasures glazed pagoda was raised to 2 rings, other than obtaining the second soul skill, the amount of enhancement of the 2 soul skills was, alarmingly, also raised to 30%. After that, with every ring added to the cultivation base, the rate of enhancement would increase by 10%. In other words, the enhancement which Yi Ji, who was currently at a 5-ring base, gave Hua Lantang was 60%. Hua Lantang was already an expert at the rank of a 5-ring Soul King. When his strength and agility were both enhanced 60%, he was a formidable foe. This was the power of Doluo Continent's best utility martial soul. If this was a team battle, then her enhancing effects would be greater. If experts like Long Yu, Dai Yuyang, and Su Mu had certain attributes enhanced as much as 60%, they would be terrifying to their opponents. According to legend, if the 7 treasures glazed pagoda could evolve to the extent of the 9 treasures glazed pagoda, even the dead would be revived. It would be an existence that went against the will of the heavens. Bang! Tang Wulin and Hua Lantang collided. Tang Wulin felt the impact and his forward momentum was disrupted abruptly. Similarly, Hua Lantang was stopped in his tracks by the collision. Both of them rebounded off each other simultaneously. No one gained any advantage. Tang Wulin's strength is dominant. Under the strength and agility enhancement of the 7 treasures glazed pagoda, Hua Lantang has exceeded the strength of an assault system battle soul master of the same rank. However, it appears he's on par with Tang Wulin, Fanga's commentary expressed astonishment. Obviously, she was surprised at what had transpired before her very eyes. A purple light flashed across Hua Lantang's eyes and his body's agility increased suddenly. The second soul ring on his body burst forth with light. His body flickered 7 times. This was his second soul skill, Dragonwolf Kill. A sharp gleam glistened on his pair of wolf claws. The 7 beams of purplish lights emanating from his body had the aura of death. Tang Wulin stood frozen. He snorted, then stomped brazenly on the ground with his right foot to reverse his blood essence. In the next instant, a deep dragon's roar sounded. Inexplicably, when he heard the dragon's roar, Hua Lantang slowed down. Shortly after, a circle of golden light followed by 8 little golden dragons spread out from beneath Tang Wulin's feet. The golden light and purple light swiftly interacted with each other. The purple light diffused instantly. Beams of golden light spread upwards slowly. On Hua Lantang's body surface, arcs of electricity appeared as he was rocked viciously and sent flying. How did that happen? Yi Ji was flabbergasted. Even the commentator Fanga paused for a while. What had occurred before them was completely beyond anyone's comprehension. When he unleashed his soul skill, Hua Lantang was under the enhancement of the 7 treasures Glazed Pagoda. His strength and agility were increased 60%. However, when his soul skill collided with Tang Wulin's, it disintegrated instantaneously. What happened? Yi Ji reacted quickly. She had been Hua Lantang's partner for so many years that they could almost read each other's minds. At critical moments, they would not hold back. The 3rd and 4th layers of the 7 treasures Glazed Pagoda flickered with light simultaneously. There's magic in the 7 treasures. The 3rd is called Soul, and the 4th, Resist. The 3rd soul skill was a soul power enhancement, whereas the 4th soul skill was a defense enhancement. After the 7 treasures Glazed Pagoda type martial soul joined the generation of soul tools, there was a complication, which was the enhancement of the battle armor could not be applied to the martial soul. Maybe it was the will of the heavens that the capability of the 7 treasures Glazed Pagoda had to be curbed so that the battle armor had no way of enhancing her martial soul. Hence, Yi Ji's one-word martial soul served only 2 purposes. One was for her own defense while the other was to enhance her soul power. The enhancement method which she unleashed was at the rank of a 5-ring soul king. However, the duration of her soul skill and enhancement method were at the rank of a 7-ring soul saint. 2 rays of light fell on Hua Lantang's body. Hua Lantang's soul power and defense were increased tremendously. Simultaneously, he also reacted with lightning speed. He flung his hands backward. Pieces of battle armor appeared in an instant. Then, they flew toward his body and merged together. He did not want to repeat the same mistake and lose, as Su Mu did to Tang Wulin. He did not understand why his soul skill had crumbled as swiftly as it did after it collided with Tang Wulin's. He felt a subtle but powerful force which originated from Tang Wulin that disabled him completely from unleashing his cultivation base. If he was not enhanced by the 7 treasures Glazed Pagoda, this feeling would have been more apparent. Nonetheless, he had to overcome the problem at hand. Under the 4 great enhancements of the 7 treasures Glazed Pagoda together with his own battle armor, he had complete confidence in overcoming the various strategies that Tang Wulin employed. It would be impossible for Tang Wulin to defeat him. At this very moment, an unforeseen situation arose. A slender palm suddenly materialized on Hua Lantang's tough and broad shoulders. Shortly after, a silver light flashed and Hua Lantang disappeared together with the figure which had appeared suddenly. The battle armors that were supposed to merge with Hua Lantang had suddenly lost their target. They hovered uncertainly in midair. At the same time, a blue-colored vine appeared silently. Tang Wulin's true soul ring finally made its debut in front of Star Luo Empire's audience. 3 purples and 1 black. The 4 soul rings flickered. In the next instant, vines shot outward swiftly and weaved themselves into a giant net in midair. It had amazingly wrapped itself around all the battle armors which Hua Lantang had released moments ago and tightened itself. This was the setback regarding an ordinary one-word battle armor. Ordinary one-word battle armors were crafted externally. Although it was connected to one's bloodline and soul power, it had to undergo a donning process. Since Tang Wulin and his companions knew that their opponents were most likely battle armor masters, they inevitably came up with some countermeasures. The battle strategy that they employed was specially devised for Monster Academy's 8 Heavenly Kings. Without a doubt, that slender hand was Guu's. Guu's spatial retreat could drag any submissive person with her, but this was obviously impossible to carry out on an opponent. That was the reason she teleported behind Hua Lantang and waited for the opportunity to seize him unknowingly when he was shocked by Tang Wulin's battle strength. Hua Lantang's battle armor naturally followed after its owner. However, Tang Wulin's blue-silver emperor had entwined and imprisoned these battle armors with the blue-silver grass. It was highly improbable Hua Lantang could don his battle armor. It was a first for Star Luo Empire's citizens to witness such an ingenious way of countering a one-word battle armor master. Hua Lantang felt his vision blurred. In the next moment, he had appeared in a different place. In front of him, the opponent was no longer Tang Wulin, but a young girl. The enhancement of the 7 treasures Glazed Pagoda on his body was still effective. He yelled and his pair of wolf claws slashed Guu's shoulders. Guu sneered and a silver light flashed before her eyes. A figure stood sideways before Hua Lantang, effectively blocking his way. A thunderous dragon's roar erupted afterward. Golden dragon shocks the heavens. The others might not know why the Dragonwolf martial soul could be suppressed. However, it would be equally surprising if Tang Wulin and Guu did not know either. In fact, when Tang Wulin knew that his opponent's martial soul contained a dragon-type bloodline, he had already thought of a way he would fight this battle. Ever since the Golden Dragon King bloodline awakened, it had never let Tang Wulin down. Each time he went up against a powerful opponent in battle, provided the opponent has a dragon-type bloodline, his opponent would definitely be suppressed by his Golden Dragon King bloodline. The smaller the difference in their cultivation bases, the greater the suppression. There was only a little difference between the cultivation bases of his opponent and himself. Moreover, he had broken through the 5th seal of the Golden Dragon King bloodline. His aura became more powerful. Naturally, its suppression toward the Dragonwolf martial soul was felt. Boom! The collision was more direct this time. Although he was under the enhancement of the 7 treasures Glazed Pagoda, Hua Lantang staggered 7 to 8 steps backward before he managed to balance himself. However, he was now battling against not just Tang Wulin, but both Tang Wulin and Guu. A large blue fireball reached him before he managed to regain his footing. The fireball exploded in front of him and gave off a deafening sound. At this moment, Hua Lantang displayed his strength as the 8 Heavenly Kings' Wolf King. The 3rd soul ring on his body seemingly lit up. The scales on his entire body was a sheen of some bizarre metal. His arms shielded him from the explosion of the fireball. The explosion had lit up his entire body in a ball of blue flames, but it was quickly extinguished. The 3rd soul skill, Diamond Dragonwolf. Currently, his body had a 60% defense enhancement. In addition, he had the defensive power of the Diamond Dragonwolf. He took the brunt of Guu's blue fireball head-on. At the same time, another beam of light shot toward him from far away. It was meant to target his body. The 5th enhancement had arrived. The 7 treasures Glazed Pagoda, the 5th soul skill, which was an attack enhancement. At once, Hua Lantang's body burned with a purplish flame. Purple light swirled within his eyes and his arms enlarged tremendously while his body shook. He bypassed Tang Wulin and reached Guu in an instant. His pair of wolf claws slashed Guu at the same time. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.